Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Donald Trump has officially won the 2024 election. Congress certified his victory yesterday in a peaceful ceremony with no objections.
4 years ago, hundreds of Trump supporters disrupted certification after the 2020 election. The president-elect has vowed to pardon some of those who were charged for their actions that day. CBN's Wendy Griffith has more.
The outcome of the 2024 presidential election now official. Donald Trump declared the winner Monday. The votes counted and the results certified before a joint session of Congress.
Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes.
Vice President Kamala Harris, who lost to Trump, presided over the ceremony as president of the Senate.
Today, I did what I've done my entire career, performing my constitutional duties to ensure that the people of America, the voters of America, will have their votes counted.
The process was peaceful and orderly, with no objections.
This is a great day for the country. We're going to certify the election of Donald J. Trump as the 47th president. That's our focus today.
The Capitol under heavy security for the event after the disruption in 2020. This was the scene 4 years ago when angry Trump supporters clashed with police and illegally entered the Capitol, believing the election had been stolen. On January 6, 2021, Trump urged protesters to march to the Capitol, calling on then Vice President Mike Pence to reject the results of the 2020 election. More than 1,200 people have been convicted or pled guilty to charges tied to the attack. Trump has promised to pardon some, calling them political prisoners.
Pardoning the criminals who assaulted police officers and tried to halt the democratic process would be a dangerous endorsement of political violence.
Inside Elections' Nathan Gonzalez told CBN's Faith Nation, pardons or not, he hopes history will view January 6, 2021 as a stain on our country.
We came very close to not having a peaceful transfer of power, which is a hallmark of our country. And so whether President Trump pardons folks or not, I hope that it does not diminish what happened and the severity of the violence that happened on January 6, 2021.
Unlike 4 years ago, there were no objections or challenges to the election results. President-elect Trump claims his win is a mandate from the American people to implement his agenda. He'll be sworn in as the nation's 47th president on Monday, January 20th. Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
Well, peaceful transitions of power have always been a hallmark of our democracy and our wonderful American republic, where we get to elect our representatives, and they are supposed to represent us in Congress and in the Senate and in the White House. That is the plan. And if you don't like a particular candidate and you don't like the results of a particular election, there's some wonderfully good news. You get to do it again in 2 years. You get to elect a whole new Congress then. In 4 years, there gets to be another presidential election. My hope, my prayer is that the rhetoric gets really reduced here. And we've seen an incredible amount of violence around politics. 2 assassination attempts just last year, what happened in 2020. It's all based on rhetoric, what is being told to people. If you think someone campaigning for a high office in America is Hitler, well, that's a particularly violent phrase to use. And you shouldn't be surprised that it starts a violent chain of reaction. We can't have that kind of thing. My hope, my prayer is that we can come together as a nation. My hope and my prayer is that we realize that righteousness exalts a nation. This kind of activity is certainly not righteous, but if we can come to agreement that regardless of our views on tax policy or international policy, when we're at home, We need to be one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, in other news, the winter storm that blanketed much of the nation is being blamed for at least 6 deaths. Lori Johnson has that story and more from the CBN Newsroom. Lori?
That's right, Gordon. The storm stretched for 1,500 miles, tying up interstates for hours and forcing airlines to cancel about 4,000 flights since Sunday, dropping 18 inches of snow on parts of Kansas and as much as 8 inches on Washington, D.C., closing down schools and federal offices for the second day. A new storm is developing that could bring snow and ice to the south on Thursday. On the West Coast, a life-threatening windstorm is brewing. Southern California could experience gusts up to 100 miles an hour today and tomorrow, creating an extreme fire danger. President Biden paid his respects to the families of the victims of the terror attack in New Orleans. The city now in 2 weeks of mourning, 1 day for each of the 14 victims. Mr. Biden sought to comfort their families at a prayer event at the historic St. Louis Cathedral.
My wife Jill and I are here to stand with you, to grieve with you, to pray with you, to let you know you are not alone. The rest of the nation is looking at you as well.
Investigators say the suspect twice visited New Orleans in the weeks before the attack, recording the area with hands-free glasses. Surveillance video shows him planting 2 coolers on Bourbon Street with explosive devices inside. Officials say the carnage could have been much worse if police had not shot him before he was able to use a remote detonator. The city will receive more federal resources to increase security as Mardi Gras season begins, and the Super Bowl will be held there next month. Turning now to the debate over fluoride in drinking water. A new study links high levels of fluoride to lower IQ in children. The report reviewed studies in 70 nations but did not include the U.S. It found that fluoride levels exceeding 1.5 milligrams per liter is associated with a drop of more than 1.5 IQ points in children. Medical experts point out that level is double the recommended amount of fluoride in the U.S.
This study in no way is saying that they found a cause between high levels of fluoride and low IQ levels in children. What the study has shown is that at certain levels, they have found a possible link between high levels of fluoride exposure and lower IQ levels in children.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., President-elect Trump's nominee for Secretary of Health, has long called for removing fluoride from drinking water. The study did not suggest that course of action. Children who struggle to read face greater difficulties later in life. Super Bowl champion Malcolm Mitchell had his own challenges with reading as a child. That's why he's on a mission to improve literacy rates. As Mitchell told CBN's Charlene Aaron, he finds it more rewarding than playing in the NFL.
Tackling. Catching.
Listening to Malcolm Mitchell, you would never know he had challenges in the classroom.
Well, I grew up a struggling reader. It was very difficult for me.
Like many teenagers in Valdosta, he gravitated to sports, becoming a star football player in high school. While Mitchell earned a scholarship to play at the University of Georgia, he could only read at a junior high school level. Mitchell realized the need to improve his skills off the field and soon developed a love for reading.
And I saw people doing things that I had never seen before, like study and read and write and use their brain to get the outcome that they wanted. And I immediately started realizing that reading was the most self-empowering tool a person could possess.
That newfound confidence led Mitchell to write The Magician's Hat, a book for children.
Just as I practiced football, I would practice reading, and over time I would get better and better and better. And then I learned the consequences of low literacy. And that only inspired me to want to do the same thing for others that books had done for me, and that was encourage them to read. So The Magician's Hat is a story about a magician teaching kids some magic tricks, but the best trick of all is proving to kids that reading can help you make your dreams come true.
Mitchell's came true in 2015. After graduating with a communications studies degree, the New England Patriots drafted him, and 2 years later, the team won the Super Bowl.
What they want to be when they grow up.
That year also had a downside as a knee injury forced him to retire from football. Mitchell used that as an opportunity to build on his other love, started a high-energy reading experience for public school students. That led to a partnership with the new E3 school in Hampton Roads, an innovative facility focused on elevating early education.
We have similar passions: book ownership, making sure kids have the tools and resources to become readers, also trying to inspire and bring awareness to a cause that's very important. What the rallies do in partnership with E3 is it creates this moment where we celebrate reading to the same degree in which this country celebrates sport.
While the former football player sees winning a Super Bowl ring as a highlight in his life, he credits empowering students as being his greatest success.
Maybe it made people smile for just a moment if I caught a pass or scored a touchdown or made a block, but then it's fleeting. Books are permanent. And I was playing football to help me. I started writing to help others. I stand by that statement. I cherish the books much more than I do the ring. Not trying to devalue what that means in society, but reading is more important than football, period.
While still in the NFL, Mitchell established the Share the Magic Foundation to transform children's lives through literacy. Since its launch, thousands have found a love for reading. These victories, Mitchell says, have been fueled by his faith.
My faith has allowed me to persevere in moments where I know I physically, as a human being, don't have the psychological strength to prevail, where I deep down want to quit. And I've wanted to quit on numerous occasions. But my faith keeps me in the fight because I know if I hold on long enough, the light at the end of the tunnel will show itself.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Oh, what a beautiful story. God bless him. Gordon, back to you.
And what an inspiring life. If you're a grandparent, if you're a parent, I encourage you to make sure your children have books, not just screens, but an actual tangible book, and that you read it to them. When you start a whole lifetime of reading, you really realize reading is fundamental. It's fundamental to mental growth. And studies have shown the number of words that a child is exposed to in that crucial developmental period. So from birth to age 5, before schools get involved, before kindergartens get involved, the number of words that you can communicate to them and show them, it actually increases their brain capacity. More neurons are formed based on the number of words that they have to process. So talk to them, and don't talk baby talk, but talk to them like they're a real human being, and especially read to them and show them that they can get the same words themselves. It's not magic. It's very practical, and when you do that, you'll give them a fundamental increase in life.